Okay.
Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to the panel discussion on geocommunities and volunteering. And it's really nice to have you guys here. For this session, we have two experienced panelists with a background in building and maintaining geospatial communities. And we are currently just expecting our second panelist, but we already have Chidimma on here. So please just give me a couple of minutes to reach out to the second panelist. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much for waiting. But while we wait for Geoffrey to join us, let me introduce our first panelist. Her name is Chidimma Umeogu. Chidimma is the co-founder of African Women in GIS, and she is a geospatial analyst and environmentalist with various experiences in geographic information science, remote sensing, and environmental sciences. And she's also a PhD student at Nnamdi Azikiwe University, but she doubles up as a lecturer in the Department of Geography and Meteorology. And as I said earlier, she is the co-founder of African Women in GIS, which is a community made up of African women around the world who works, study, or are enthusiastic about the geospatial industry and its related field. Please join me in welcoming Chidimma. Hi, Chidimma, how are you doing today?
Hi, Dami. I'm fine. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. Geoffrey just joined us. And Geoffrey, hi, can you hear me? Okay. Chidimma, can you give us a brief background of your organization, the African Women in GIS?
Okay, I'll share my screen now in a moment. So
yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Doing good, thank you.
Hi, Geoffrey. How are you doing today?
Yeah, doing good, How are you doing?
Fine. Yeah, Geoffrey is the community project lead at Humanitarian OpenStreetMap, and we are so glad to have you here. Chidimma, you can go ahead.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello, can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I'll be sharing my screen in a moment. So please give me a moment, please. I don't know, please can you permit me to share my screen? Hello, Dami.
Hi,
Hello.
Chidimma.
I am unable to share my screen, so I think I have to go on with my
Yes.
presentation like that.
Yes, please just give us a brief background.
Okay, so African Women in GIS was jointly founded in the year 2019 by myself, Chidimma Umeogu from Nigeria, and Sihana Williams from Ghana. So the objective of the community is to create a safe space for women who are enthusiastic or are working in the geospatial industry in Africa to have a safe space where they can network with each other, form a sort of support group with for each other. Another objective for the community is to push out more of our women out there, give them the spotlight they deserve for the work they have been doing so far in the industry. And the issues that prompted the community being formed is that in African industry, geospatial industry, that men are more dominated. We have more men in the industry, and the few women there are kind of hidden. So the community aims is just to push out these women into the limelight, not just for themselves, but to create a sort of a role model for other women to join the geospatial industry. Another issue that led to us coming the community is to create an access for mentorship for our women and for career guidance and basic mentorship that can help them chart a path in the career in the geospatial industry. And again, is for capacity building, because most of these women lack access to capacity building. And our community so far has been able to give that to our women by giving them trainings, webinars, exposing them to different sort of capacity building. The vision and the community vision and goals is to support the visibility of more women in the African industry, the geospatial industry, mentor the younger ones in their career journey, collaborate with other partners in the industries, organizations across the geospatial industry to bridge the gender gap in the African geospatial industry. So, so far we have done lots of collaboration with sister organizations across the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chidimma. Because of our limited time, I would not be asking Geoffrey to give a general background of his organization, but my question to you, Geoffrey, is what do you think is lacking in the geo community and volunteering space within Africa, and how can such gaps be identified and mitigated?
Yeah, thank you. And just a quick one. I work with the Humanitarian OpenStreetMap team, and really we are part of the open mapping kind of network. So happy to be here and taking part of this panel discussion. So straight to go to your question. What's lacking in terms of the volunteering kind of space? I think we need to look at like who is volunteering. We when someone sees a volunteer kind of opportunity, the thing that they normally look at is, do I have the skills, first of all, to be able to volunteer in that space? And then the other aspect that they look at is also, what do I benefit from the the volunteer opportunity. So I think we need to cater for, the people who come into the volunteer space when they don't have the skills yet. They're looking for the opportunity to volunteer and get some new skills. So volunteering should be for both people who are new to the geospatial community, but also people who are skilled. So for when you target, like you have a volunteer program and it's targeting the new beginners, have capacity building programs that will help train them, but also for people who are already skilled, give them kind of a value for the volunteer work that they do. And what I really mean here is that the volunteering should also be helping to solve a problem in the community, so that at least someone knows that the volunteer work that I'm doing is helping, make life better for someone out there, to not improve their living conditions, or to solve a problem that is helping in the side. And I can just give a very quick example. Of recent, we have all seen, flooding happening in Nigeria, and also other kind of disasters happening all over the world. So as someone in the geospatial industry, like how can you use your skills and offer your time and volunteer in this space and be able to help someone out there using your skills? So you may not be able to go physically and help, but through digital volunteerism, either through mapping or creating data visualizations or creating map products, you're actually helping the responders and giving them critical information that they will need to be able to use to respond to the situation. So yeah, I think what we are still lacking is really connecting that, like connecting the need for volunteerism, but also to how the volunteerism is helping to solve human challenges. And I think once we make that connection, then it will be easier for people to offer their time. But also we have technical barriers, for example, digital volunteerism, like access to internet. Someone is willing to contribute or to volunteer, but they don't have access to internet, they don't have access to a computer. So those are some of the other barriers. And how do we, as different communities and organizations, help reduce these barriers and enable people to be able to, to come into this space and use their skills and give their time and resources and be able to volunteer successful. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that, and for also pointing out that volunteering is not just for it's not just for beginners only. But my question is, do you provide training or courses for new volunteers that are joining the organization? And even for those that are joining, what are the procedures involved?
Yeah, so yeah, at the Humanitarian OpenStreetMap team, the organization that I work with, really, we do have several volunteer opportunities, and the main one is through the main tool that we use for mapping, which is the tasking manager. So we have this tool where, if you want to create a map data for any part of the world, then you just visit this tool and then you log in and find a project that you can contribute to. And through doing that, you are really creating map data for places which are not mapped. So like we provided this tool, but also what we do is also to provide this tool for other communities and organizations to use. So as an organization, we offer the tool, we offer the space for volunteering, but also we offer the tools, and we encourage actually communities to use them to also organize their own kind of volunteer activities. But in addition to that, we provide training resources. So just on the same website, you find link tutorials to training resources that will guide someone through on how to actually do this kind of volunteer work, so that even someone who is new to this kind of technology and is just, getting out there and learning how to contribute in this way, they have that kind of capability to learn from scratch. But also we have internship programs. Like right now we are running a data quality internship program. And this program is, people from different parts of the world are participating, and through this they are, acquiring skills, but while at the same time improving the quality of OpenStreetMap data. We have also mentorship programs. We run online webinars as well, and we provide that kind of space where people come together to map and network, but also to kind of learn from each other. So yes, we do have several options and programs where we target people who are new, but also people who are experienced, and offer that kind of space for them to be able to contribute.
Okay, thank you so much. Chidimma, what are the skills needed to join African women in GIS?
First of all, the person has to be a GIS analyst, specialist, enthusiast, have to be in the geospatial industry, or is intending to join the geospatial industry. We are not actually limiting our membership to skills only. We just need people who are in the industry, women who are in the geospatial industry, to join the community. So there's no skills being limited. There's no skill requirements per se. Just have to be in the industry, join the community. So that's it.
Okay, thank you so much. Since the African Women GIS is focusing on including more women in the geospatial industry, how do you consistently ensure that this capacity building meets up with the design framework and international standards of volunteering programs?
Okay, thank you for that question. Again, volunteering programs entails that both parties understand or have an agreement of what is required from both. And since this volunteering program is flexible to meet, so that nobody is being shortchanged. So we have some set rules and responsibilities listed out for our volunteers. Because in our community, we have volunteering opportunities for our members in leadership offices. Like we have different members, volunteers leading the different zones we have in Africa. We have others who are in charge of the social media platform, communication and liaison with other organizations. So these members, they go through a process of interview after stating their intention to volunteer for the community. So to be sure that none is shortchanged, to be sure that both the volunteer and the organization stick to the standard, we have an outlined roles and responsibility and agreements, sort of terms and conditions that each volunteer must go through and agree with and sign. In this roles and responsibility, each role is spelled out, what is expected from each member, the hours of engagement, the objective for that role at that particular time. For example, the zonal coordinators have their own different roles, which they have been told they're expected to deliver monthly webinars or once in a year webinars to train their women on different capacity building. And this cut across the zones we have in Africa, the 5 zones we have in Africa. And we ensure that these coordinators adhere to the already agreed rules. We have some key performance index we look at. We use to checkmate the engagement of these coordinators. And as well, when there's a shortage or where one person is meeting up with their own agreements parts, we reach out to them, converse with them, know what the issue is, and know how to come in to help them. Volunteering, our members who are volunteering are not being paid, so they're doing that on their own free will to help the community to grow. So the only way we can make sure that they adhere to the standard and with the community and also sustain this through the rules of engagement, which have been supported from the first day of volunteering. Also, the communities also offer this mentorship program where we have mentors volunteering on to tutor or to guide the younger ones for a short-term period. We have a long-term period of volunteering experience, and we have a long short-term period of volunteering program too. But the mentorship program, theirs is for 6 months, in which the guide maintains according to the agreement or the objective of that cohort's program, mentorship program. And they are being checkmated using the rules of engagement that have been agreed between the mentor and the organization. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chidimma. Geoffrey, over to you. My question is, how do you meet volunteer financial expectations, and also how do you maintain your organization sustainable capacity building?
That's an interesting one, because volunteerism, by definition, it should be free, like you are giving your time and resources without expecting any kind of financial compensation, but we do live in Africa, and we know people face different challenges, and that's why it's also good to look at what challenges are the volunteers facing, and how do you also help them, especially if you have the capacity to do so. And I can just give an example from just the volunteer work that we are involved in with OpenStreetMap. Most of this mapping is online. So like someone has to access a computer which is connected to the internet and has to do mapping. So however much someone is volunteering their time, at least if it is possible for them to get like help with internet data, that can be provided, or even finding things like a space where they're going to do the mapping from. So yeah, mapping most of the time is a volunteer kind of activity, but in some cases, then it is kind of necessary to kind of support the volunteers, and I know that there are, for example, some organizations that would be willing to, like, they need the data, like there is a demand for the data, and then there are volunteers who are willing to put in their time and provide this data. So if the other organization has resources, how can we make sure that the resources they have can also be used to support the people who are contributing to the mapping? And what this really needs is organizations, because most of these volunteer communities, most of the time informal groups, but when they self-organize into kind of structured groups, then they can be able to mobilize these resources either through fundraising, and you may find like they have like small grants that they can use to support their contributors with something like internet data, or facilitation of like maybe transport to go to an event, or to go to a field to do mapping. So for me, I don't look at it as like a payment, but it's still just a facilitation. It's still like volunteer work, but at least facilitating and helping people with the challenges that they face through their volunteer journey. And then the other thing that I want to mention also is we should also try to encourage volunteers to see opportunities within the volunteer work that they do, especially when we talk about open source projects and open data projects. There is a lot of potential or opportunity around that, but very many times people don't see that. I was at Phosphor-G this year, which is like the free and open source for Geo conference this year. And what I saw there was very many big companies whose businesses are built entirely around open source geospatial technology. Yeah, and when introducing, as we introduce volunteers to this work and they start contributing, it'd also be good also to show them those examples, and so that at least they learn this skill, they start contributing, they create the data, they learn new things, but also start thinking of, how can I make a living out of these new skills that I'm getting, so that at the end of it all, if they can, develop businesses out of it in the future, build products out of it, then that's good for everyone. They're using their skills and they're learning from it, and they don't have to by the time now they come to volunteer, it means they are covered in terms of what they would need, whether it is internet data, like they have, maybe some of them even get jobs. Someone has gotten a job out of volunteering, but then later become their job. Now they can volunteer because they have a job that pays them to be able to contribute. To spare some time to do the volunteer work. So I think that is what I can say about that. Provide capacity building, but also show people opportunities that can arise out of this, so that people are also progressing and they're benefiting from their volunteer journey, and they're using it to step to the next, to the next level in their careers. Thank you.
Thank you so much. But do you at least provide certificates for those volunteering activities?
Yes. So like I mentioned, sometimes we have kind of organized programs. For example, the data quality internship program that we are having. So for that one, yes, all the participants will be able to get a kind of a volunteer kind of a certificate. But also ours is also like a community of communities. So the Humanitarian OpenStreetMap team works with very many different groups across the world who also conduct their own kind of programs. So what we really encourage is also for these groups also to use the platform and the tools that are available to also organize their own kind of volunteer program, so that not everyone does have to go to HOT to be able to volunteer and get that volunteer experience. Because like I mentioned earlier as well, like it would be very important to also connect the volunteering with the local challenges. So if someone is in Kenya, then it should be the open mapping community in Kenya to organize a volunteer program which is also addressing local challenges. And what we are doing at HOT is to kind of facilitate that kind of process. So one of the things that we have done of recent is to open up regional kind of hubs. So have a hub for Eastern and Southern Africa. We have a hub for Western North Africa. There's one in Asia Pacific, and also one coming up in Latin America. And through these hubs, we are trying to localize the kind of support that we give to local groups to either be able to organize their local, their own programs, or to do small projects around open mapping and engage their volunteer base and provide all this kind of, incentives, whether certificates, whether capacity building, so it should also be kind of localized, volunteering should not just be for just big organization, but people should also self-organize locally and, you know, have these kind of volunteer programs at the local level.
Okay, thank you so much. We want to leave out time for questions from our participants, and we just got our first question, and this is related to African women in GIS. So Chidimma, somebody is asking if they can get the link to join African women in GIS. So can you please share how to go about this?
Okay, sure. I'll share the link now on the platform. All right, yeah. Okay, I want to chip in on the issues with volunteering in Africa, in African space. One of the issues we are having over here in Africa is that most volunteers do not understand what volunteering means. You know, unfortunately, we've come across, in our community, we have come across some of our intending volunteers asking us how much they're going to be paid, unfortunately. But that negates what volunteering means, you know. So again, there's this lack of understanding what volunteering actually needs or means and the benefits of volunteering, you know. One thing about volunteering, it depends on the role you're playing, or apart from capacity building, it can help one to grow in their career. Like it exposes you to a lot of opportunities that you might not have come across as a lay member in the community. By volunteering, you get to learn skills, like leadership skills. You get to learn how to manage people. In our community, most of our zonal coordinators, I believe that some of them might have been so shy to communicate. After a period of time, they've learned the ability to communicate with the members, to organize events, to host events, and to to groom the leadership skill, which is some of the soft skills needed in the industry right now. So I think we, the community founders, have a lot to do in creating the awareness of the benefits of volunteering. It's true that there might not be monetary benefits to it in short term, because most community might not have the fund to pay their volunteers. But at times, giving out incentives like data, airtime, can go a long way to encourage the volunteers. But I think we should be able to, we need to teach people to look beyond the monetary gain and look at the career development and capacity building that we gain from volunteering. So I think this is one of the silent issues that have to be addressed in the African space on what volunteering entails and how to encourage people to volunteer. It boosts their CV, for example. For some of them that are graduates, they need these volunteer skills as part of their CV to boost their CV, to get jobs, to get scholarship. Like yearly demands that before you enter this, you must have some leadership skills. You must have volunteered in some communities. So I think it's very, very important to drive this information home, that members, people who know how important volunteering is. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chidimma. So do we have questions? Okay.
There's a question for Geoffrey. So somebody is asking, I applied for what internship, but I didn't get it. What may be the reasons my application was not accepted, so that I may be able to work on my weakness against the next time I will be applying?
Yes, I think that's an interesting question. So I think we had very many applications, and there were only a few slots available. So the reason why the person was not selected may not be because you know, his application was not, I mean, his answers were not the best. But I think for me, like one tip that I can give is, yeah, work on your contributions to OpenStreetMap, because, for example, if we are running the data quality internship program, that means it's already looking for people who are experienced in terms of mapping. So they have several number of edits, and also they have mapped different things. So don't just map only buildings, also learn to map other things like waterways, relations, roads, land use, so that at least, you know, by the time you apply for the data quality internship, then, you know, someone is already aware that, okay, this profile already has a good understanding of the basics, and then through the internship, maybe they can learn new things. So for me, that's kind of the advice I can give. You know, like, yeah, try to come when you already know a bit of the basics. But also, like I mentioned, also look at other opportunities for volunteering. So even if you not join the one at HOT, but also for your own community that you belong to, whether you are part of a Youth Mappers chapter, whether you are part of you know, the national kind of chapter for OpenStreetMap, like how can you also participate in that and do some of these things, you know, like Chidimma was mentioning, you know, like when we participate in these communities, it's not just about mapping, but also there are other things that are very important. So you may have skills, for example, in communication. Even if you don't have these skills, but you can offer and say, okay, I'm going to be, you know, leading on communications for my volunteer community. It can be skills on, you know, training. You can organize events. You can be you know, a cartographer, and you say, okay, I'm going to look at data that is generated from OpenStreetMap and make a map information products out of them. So all of these can be like other ways for you to contribute to your community, but at the same time you'll be learning. So sometimes you don't need even to be to sign up for a structured kind of program to be able to offer your time and expertise, or even if you don't have expertise, but to learn. And like there is really a lot that you can benefit by doing this. Yeah, and that's what I would advise the person who asks the question. Yeah, as you wait for the next, you know, volunteer opportunities to be announced by HOT, look out for other opportunities. Also look within your community that you are part of. If you're not part of an OSM community yet, then also look at, yeah, which one is the local community that is there in my country that I can join. And if there is none in your country, also start one, or in your in your region. That's kind of also a possibility. So yeah, the opportunities are always out there, and but you shouldn't be limited to kind of participate by those. Also look for opportunities that you can initiate yourself and kind of contribute to your community. Yeah.
Thank you so much for asking that, answering that question. Omowolana, you can go ahead with your question.
Yeah, thank you thank you so much, Geoffrey and Chidimma, for the session. So I wanted to ask Geoffrey questions around the Humanitarian OpenStreetMap, like just to, I think you didn't touch on what are the type of maybe skill sets, because I mean, like when people volunteer, we've agreed that volunteering is something that is usually people giving out their free time. So I was just going to ask for, you know, the kind of skill set kind of that people can get out of being a part of the community, kind of. I mean, like both technical and like not technical skill set. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I think that's an important one because yeah, when someone comes to volunteer, like I mentioned, sometimes you come with the skills and you're just offering your skills, but sometimes also you come when you don't have the skills yet and you are also looking to learn. So for me, I think like the best the best skill, like I think Chidimma was mentioning, is starting with like having a volunteer spirit, because yeah, volunteering is giving back, like, having that kind of mentality that I want to give back to the community is, I think, for me, the first thing. And then from there, coming with an open kind of mind that I want to, to contribute. So the best skills, of course, will be the best GIS skills. Like for the mapping that we do is just basically creating map objects, digitizing things from satellite imagery, but also people go an extra step and contribute data, like from the field, like locally, like using their phones, and pick points of interest and add them to the map. And these are things that like you can easily do. But then after covering kind of those basic things, it's always good to advance and say, okay, I'm growing within this community, I'm growing my skills. So that's when now we talk about, data quality assurance, things like becoming a validator. So once you start mapping, you can always progress from beginner mapper to an intermediate mapper to an advanced mapper. But when you become an advanced mapper, then you can now switch to being a validator, for example, where you now try to check other people's work and give them feedback. But then after that, also you have to advance then beyond that and start, learning, geospatial analysis and other advanced geospatial skills. But also, like I mentioned, there also are these other skills, like, becoming an organizer for your community, and a trainer. Can be someone good at, communications and social media, can be someone good at, and even other skills, by the way, like it can be financial management. You are giving that to your community, and you're doing a small project which needs also like kind of to manage finances. It can be skills like data visualization, and so like, it's kind of a complete kind of package. Like that's why in this kind of volunteering, like everyone is welcome, because everyone has something that they can offer, and there is always something to learn. So it just depends on, what skills are you coming with, what skills are you still lacking, and also trying to look at what skills that you want to attain. So I think for me, I would say, like, when coming to volunteering with HOT, there is no like, strict requirements. What is important is that you are open to, to volunteering, and you want to learn, and as well as network and grow your, grow professionally, and grow as a person, network with people, and learn. Learning never stops. It's a kind of a continuous process. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your insight and speaking with us. And we've come to the end of this panel section. And we're just really grateful for this insights and the answers that you provided to our questions. And so thank you so much, Geoffrey. Thank you, Chidimma. And also thank you. A big thanks to all the participants. So on to the next session.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.